Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the month of December, which is what I've been calling the grand finale, because everything has been building to this point. As a matter of fact, it's been building for the last 2 years to this most explosive event that's coming this month, because this is the time that the solar eclipse that is so potent is about to release its energy, because for so long this has been building and building and building, and it can't go anywhere anymore. And that's kind of the sounds that I'm hearing in the background. So before I start, I want to remind everyone that if you would love to learn Vedic astrology, predict the future, remember I'm starting a new class in January 10th. Go to my website, University of Vedic Astrology.com, and sign up to join our community of astrologers. And right before Christmas, we have my new jewelry line out, which I'm wearing. So remember to check that out on my website and sign up for my free newsletter, where you will have all of my predictions delivered to your email. Go to galacticcenter.org. So with that, let's talk about this eclipse. What is it all about? Remember, I always say eclipses are the most important point where we can make our predictions from. What signs they're in, what nakshatras they're in, all of this equates to what is happening. And especially any of the stars that it may be conjunct. And in this case, we have this eclipse at 18 degrees of Scorpio. Now remember, I'm talking about the sidereal Vedic zodiac, not Western tropical. So it throws it back a sign. But talking about this, we really take into account the stars, which are what the nakshatras are based on. Their meanings are derived from the stars. And this is what's so impactful with Vedic astrology, because it uses the stars. And looking at this, we are looking at this particular nakshatra, Jyesta. Jyesta is one of the deepest, darkest nakshatras of all, and not all in a bad way, because it deals with psychological analysis, deep introspection, and really getting to the core and the bottom of emotional issues. Remember, Scorpio is probably the most intense sign of the zodiac. And those of you that study astrology, you know what I mean. This portion of the zodiac is deep. It's profound, and it gets to the core, because it's really very reminiscent of Pluto in the 8th house. So this is going to be an incredible time for deep analysis, introspection, and emotional healing. And that is what the planet needs. That's what everyone needs. That's what we've come here for, to heal our emotional body. The emotions is where everything is stored. The way we feel, our hurts, our love, all of that deals with who we really are. And that's what's going to be emerging out of this eclipse, to see as a society and a world who we really are. But aside from that, individually, collectively, we will understand more about why we're here and our existence on planet Earth. So profoundly deep. It's incredible. So looking at this, remember when we talk about the sign Scorpio, it deals with power. And what are we talking about when we talk about power? I mean, so many people are consumed with power, and those in government, those in leadership positions, when they become obsessed with power, it destroys them. We can see that happens to all world leaders, to all kings, presidents. It's going to happen at this point in time. You're going to see many world leaders will shift and change, either leave office, somehow they will leave. And I'm not just talking about the United States. This is global. And I just got back from traveling in Europe, and it was astounding to see what's going on around the world from different perspectives of people in different cultures. And basically, everyone feels the same way. Doesn't matter who or where you are, we're all going through this globally. And imagine this, 2 years ago, would you have ever imagined what you have been seeing in the world today? Everyone with masks on around the world. This is not just one country. People with masks, people sick, people afraid of dying. This is like very scorpionic, that it deals with fear, darkness, but it also deals with transformation. Don't forget, it's very symbolic of the phoenix that dies to the ashes but is reborn. A resurrection is really what this energy is about and where it's going to take us all. So this last and final month of the year of 2021 arrives with the most powerful solar eclipse that lands right in Scorpio and almost exactly on the fixed star Antares, which is the star of war, star of fighting. And that's what everybody's doing over the course of the year that all of this stuff has been coming about in 2021. People have come to the point where they do not trust their governments around the world, because here's this virus. Why did this virus come out? And why were they working with inventing a virus? Why were they testing a virus? This should not be done. And what that's all about is, of course, biological warfare. Why else would they be working to develop a virus? It wasn't to create cures, although I would like to believe that. But no one's really getting to the core and the bottom of things. And I think the world and the people are fed up. They're fed up with the lack of governments trying to heal and make things better. Instead, the governments really don't know what to do, as far as I can see, because no one envisioned anything like this ever happening. And yes, it was 2 years ago in 2019 that I predicted that there was going to be a catastrophic change in 2020 that would change the world forever. And this is where we are. But change, let me remind everyone, we have had some of the biggest, most monumental changes in the world. It's all happening right now. When people say nothing happened, I'm like, are you kidding? Everything has changed. The way that we look at governments, the way we look at politics, the way that we look at money, the way that we look at health and disease. Everything is in this place of transition and transformation. There is radical changes happening as I speak, more than any time in history. Think about it. Maybe there's not one day that an explosion happens, but it's happening all the time, which makes it even more monumental. So this last 2 years has changed our world remarkably. It's never going to be the same. And even the way that we trade and make money is going through a change. People don't want to admit it, but cryptocurrency will be the phase in the future. Maybe people are fighting it right now, but as I always say, people didn't understand credit cards. They thought credit cards were insane. And they also thought that the internet was insane when it came out. But once it becomes a part of our lives, we have to accept it, and that's the way the future is. So the way we exchange money in this world is changing. Do you really think that every bank has the dollar bills for the money that goes in and out of a bank? So when people say cryptocurrency is not based on anything, Tell me what cash is in a bank that represents the money that they're exchanging. Because it's all an illusion, really. But getting on, so everything in our society, everything is transforming and changing as I speak. But this is the month when we're going to see something evolve. And I think everything has been building. And you see the planets create these radical shifts and changes, transformations. We're all feeling it. We all know something's about to give here. December, January are the months that the explosions happen. Let me explain. So December 4th, we have the solar eclipse. And things don't usually happen on the day of a solar eclipse, but they mark a specific sensitive point of events to come. And when things ride over, planets ride over, transit over that degree mark of the eclipse, 18 degrees of Scorpio, that's the trigger. And usually it deals with Mars. So you're going to see Mars is going to transit over that 18 degree mark. And that's going to be the huge trigger. When Mars comes over 18 degrees of Scorpio, it will be New Year's Eve. So that's the date, the time that I suspect there can be some violence, some major events, that the world will always be different. Another thing that's happening this month is the exact and final third square of Saturn to Uranus. Every time this happens, every 10 to 11 years, this is a cyclic change of major breakdowns, breakthroughs. And as I always say, this is going to be a big wake-up call. A wake-up call. We've all been waiting for it. And we've been so disappointed in how things have been really going that I think we're just ready for something to hit. Something that just says, okay, this is it. It's the finale where we know where we're headed in the future. Now, maybe we won't know exactly where we're headed, but there's going to be events that really, really bring out what has been hidden in the darkness. Remember what I say about eclipses. They are the darkening of the lights. It's going to be the darkening of the sun. Well, the sun is actually leadership, who's in charge. And that darkening means it's going to change. And I've said in many of my videos how definitely in the United States, our president and our vice president have specific points that are being triggered by this eclipse. Huge. And I know that something's going to give here. Okay, something big is about to give here in the government and with leaders. Now, another thing is that December 15th is the day that Mars will conjunct K2. K2 is all about losses. Mars is violence. So usually you put those two together, and then when the moon comes over it a day around this time, sometime around December 15th, there's going to be an event. But right after the eclipse, almost the day of the eclipse, December 4th, Mars goes into Scorpio. And when Mars goes into Scorpio, Scorpio is the sign. Mars is actually the planet that rules Scorpio, so it becomes intensely powerful. And it is going to result in a major explosive energy and event. But it's digging up all this intensity and emotion that we have been feeling and comes to the surface. And the eclipse is another reason why this is surfacing, with Mars coming into the sign of Scorpio. And it will be in Scorpio still in January, so don't think it's completely over with after the last day of this year. January is still going to be an intensely crazy month. But I think the big effects are coming this month in December. So you really do need to prepare. But look at this as a time of self-growth. Because one thing I know about the sign of Scorpio, it's intense, it's profound, it's deep, it gets to the core and the bottom of things. But it also, Scorpio deals with power and people that abuse power. In this nakshatra, which is called Jyesta, Jyesta is ruled by the god Indra, which is the king of the gods. Really, Indra is the one that creates, it is in the leadership of the gods. Therefore, it is the ultimate king. But what happened in the myth of Indra became obsessed with power, you see. And of course, as I said before, when anyone becomes obsessed with power, they destroy themselves. And this is part and due which we're going to see happening throughout this month. And even in your individual lives, people that are abusive of power, and even taking it to the dark depths of betrayals, of sexuality, and all sorts of really dark things are going to be discovered and brought out. It's almost like the time that the Catholic churches had to deal with all the darkness of the child abuse. And now there's going to be more things surface about sexual abuse in this world and what's been going on, and the control and the power over others. Because you see, when you talk about Scorpio, you're talking about ways that we control other people, which the three ways that I think of when I think about Scorpio, the 8th house, or Pluto, is control through money. Money gives control, it gives power. Control through sexuality, through people's charisma, their sexuality, the way they attract and use that in the means of power. And thirdly, death. Scorpio, 8th house Pluto rules death. And that is basically the way many religions control you. Because if you don't believe their way, when you die, what's going to happen to you? So these are issues of control and power. And what's going to happen is a lot of this is going to be revealed. All of the issues around this. And I suspect many of the powerful people in Hollywood may have to attest to some of their discrepancies and things that have been going on beyond that, because communication is huge in this world. We wouldn't have Facebook, we wouldn't have all the people that are involved, Google and social media, that didn't have the power to shut down anyone and anything that they want. Hey, they did it with the President of the United States. They are more powerful than he. So you're going to find that the darkness of all of these social media platforms that use power are going to have to come out with the truth. But something is changing, because being aware of what's really going on is what's going to change it. If you act like it's not there and you push it under the rug, it seethes and it grows. It's almost like, I love the myth of Hercules and the Hydra. Hercules was sent to kill the Hydra, but every time he chopped off the flaring heads of this dragon that had hundreds of heads, every time he cut them off, more grew back. And it wasn't until Hercules got on his knees and surrendered to the Hydra that the Hydra disappeared. It dissolved and disappeared. What is the meaning of that myth? That when we bring to light our fears and we face them, our psychological fears and our secrets that control our life. Many people have secrets, and believe you me, they control their lives, whether they know it or not. But when they bring it out, confess, bring it to the forefront and deal with it, surrender, it dissolves. What we're fearful of dissolves, goes away. So that's what I want you to know, and that's a very important message, that we have to surrender to our fears. Because there's really nothing to fear. That's what we discover. And what happens is we heal and transform our lives. That's the most important thing. So there is more. So I want to reiterate, December 4th is the eclipse. Then we have Mars going to Scorpio. You're going to see the whole energy change December 4th and 5th. And then by December 15th, when Mars crosses over K2, it's going to be anger. There's going to be displays of outburst everywhere. People losing their heads. People going off the rocker. You'll see. Then by the 31st is really when the explosive events will culminate into the big event. And another important thing that I see coming during this time is the fact that Venus is about to go retrograde December 30th. And when Venus goes retrograde, it deals with love and emotion. It deals with our connection to others, how we relate, and relationships. So Venus is the planet that goes retrograde, the very least of all the planets. But when it does, it makes an impact. And most of all, I have found that Venus deals with peace. So what is coming about in this turbulence and in this violence and in this warlike feeling of this month is a sense that we need to get back to being peaceful. We need to find ways to come together, to heal our differences and find ways where we're not so separate anymore. That's the illusion. You see, we all feel separate in these bodies, but in reality, we are not separate at all. When we pass to the other side, we will reconnect to all that is, be one with everything. That is actually our natural state of consciousness, unity, to be one with all that is. And when we're not, that's when we have fear. Because we doubt ourselves, we doubt what's going on. We don't have that explicit connection to the divine spirit, which is within all of us, that connects us all. Trust me, this is the reality, and this is the illusion that we are here to uncover. This month, we will have so many opportunities to really see truth that has been boiling and boiling and boiling to this crescendo that is going to illuminate and awaken so many of us. But those that don't want to be awakened will not budge. That's okay. They will not be happy. They will be miserable, because the only way that we can find our truth and be happy is just surrender to the divine. Be one with it. Because so many of us think we have the answers when we connect to our divine power. That's what I'm talking about with surrender. Not letting people have their way with you. No, that's not at all what I mean. I'm talking about surrender to our ego to control everything, because that's what Scorpio is about, control. When we surrender, that's when we release and become one with everything, and we understand the truth. Not fight it anymore. So Venus, by the 30th of December, it's starting to slow down this whole month. But right before it goes retrograde, it's going at a slower speed. So Venus, the planet of love, relationships, opening our heart, is bringing us closer to the need to experience love. That's the true healer of this world. Love and relationships, finding a connection to others, and most of all, family. I know many of you say, oh, I can't get along with my family. But there's a reason why you incarnated in this lifetime with those individuals, because you're here to heal. And if you look at what you're doing in order to heal your life, in other words, what you're putting out there, you are going to get back continuously throughout your life. And if you have complaints about your life, about others, guess what's going to come back to your face? But when you come from a place of gratitude, love, and joy, guess what you're going to attract? Those just like you. In that respect, that is the law of the universe, because everything is energy. Imagine when you keep putting out anger, frustration, rage, guess what you're going to get back? Change that. Look within. Find that connection to the divine. Surrender to it. And experience the gratitude, the love, and the joy that life is. One thing that I really learned while I was traveling around the world is how much joy and how much beauty there is in the world. It is a beautiful place. Come from a place of appreciation from this beautiful planet and the connection to your loved ones, because this is the Christmas season in the Northern Hemisphere. And Christmas is all about giving. So I want you to come from a place of love and giving, and it will transform and it will absolutely change your life. Because when I talk about the grand finale, really what I'm talking about, essentially what evolves from it is transformation. So with that, I like to close. And if you would like to study with me, don't forget, go to my university website, universityofvedicastrology.com. And also remember, if you would like to be receiving my free emails where I give all my predictions, sign up for my free newsletter. You'll be glad you did. So with that, enjoy family, come from a place of love. And Happy New Year. And I'm going to be looking into 2022. So that's going to be another thing that I'm going to be talking about in all of my emails, predictions, and also I have a class coming up December 18th where you can sign up and listen to my 3-hour workshop on what's to come for the year of 2022, and you will have access to me and uncensored, and we're going to have a Q&A at the end, and I want to answer your questions. So with that, I'll close. Thank you.